In this video, I will provide you with a few things to think about if you're going to be changing out a bathtub to a shower. And the first thing I want to take a look at will be the water supply valve, and you might need to replace it depending upon its design. Now, sometimes with a bathtub, you're going to have a bathtub shower unit, and that's going to have a lower tub spout, and up on top, you're going to have a shower head. However, if you just have a bathtub spout at the bottom and you don't have the shower head on the top, then you're going to need to add this line here. And of course, you're going to need to remove this one here if you're not going to need it anymore. So this is what it would look like if you had a shower water supply assembly. Now, another thing you're going to need to consider will be whether or not you're going to be increasing the water flow out of the shower head. If this is the case, then you might need to install a different valve setup and larger water supply lines. Next up, let's go ahead and take a look at what the drain pipe setup would look like if we had an existing shower drain and not a bathtub. And that might have a 2-inch clean out along with 2-inch drain lines. You are going to need a 2-inch drain line going all the way from the shower down to the drain line. So for example, you might have a 2-inch drain going into a 3-inch pipe or a 4-inch pipe, whereas in a bathtub, you're going to have an 1.5 inch pipe. And that's where the problem starts in this video. So 2 inches is code, a 2-inch pipe all the way down to eventually run into a larger pipe. However, that won't be the same setup for your bathtub. Your bathtub is usually going to have an 1.5 inch drain line. However, the 1.5 inch can drain into a 2-inch pipe, and the 2-inch pipe can drain into a larger pipe like we have here. So here we have 2 inches going all the way up to the clean out and a sanitary tee with an 1.5 inch connection coming out of the side. This is actually the setup I like to do if I can. I like to have the 1.5 inch going into a 2-inch. However, the building codes don't suggest that is necessary. So again, 2-inch line going up to a clean out, 1.5 inch vent going out through the roof. So this provides us with one example. Your bathroom could be different. And feel free to email me pictures of your bathroom drainage system, and I might not be able to make a video immediately. However, I will be able to add it to this video series in the future. And here's an example of where the clean out is 2 inches. 2 inches going down, 1.5 inch coming out of the top of the clean out in this example here. Next up, let's take a look at a drainage setup where we have an 1.5 inch pipe going all the way down to the drain line or the next larger sized pipe. So everything coming out of this combo fitting is an 1.5 inch all the way up, all the way to the drain for a bathtub drainage setup. And this is probably what you're going to be dealing with. I hate to say it, because most plumbers are going to be trying to save a few dollars here and there, especially if your house is a track built house and not a custom home. So pay attention, because if you have an 1.5 inch drain line and you want to install a shower, the building code is going to require a 2-inch drain, which means you're going to have to change out this combo fitting, and you might even need to relocate it. But you're going to need, the main reason why I'm making this video is to provide you with this information. Most do-it-yourselfers are going to take the easiest route possible, which means tying into the 1.5 inch line. And I'm not about to suggest that won't work. However, I am going to suggest that it's probably not going to meet your local building codes. So the first thing we're going to want to do will be to cut out the plumbing pipes that we are going to need to modify. And I won't be able to walk you through that process. I won't be able to tell you exactly where to make these cuts, so that you don't overcut or have to cut something again, especially if you're dealing with a cast iron pipe. And there's a good chance you're going to need to use couplings up here at the vent, down here at the drain line, and whether or not you choose to use glue-on couplings. If you're working with PVC or ABS or another material that can be glued together, then you could use these types of fittings. Otherwise, you might consider using rubber fittings with hose clamps. And that will be what you're going to use if you're tying ABS or PVC into cast iron. And of course, in this example, I'm going to provide you with another way you can connect the 2-inch drain line to the larger pipe, and that will be using a fitting that will have a 45-degree angle coming off of it. And according to the International Building Code book, either one of these methods will work. And I think the last bit of advice I could provide you with when doing something like this will be that it's probably not going to be easy because you don't know where your plumbing pipes are going to be located. For example, you might need to go into the next room or further over in each direction, including this direction here, if you don't know what the plumbing looks like underneath the concrete slab. In a raised floor, you're probably going to get a pretty good idea what the plumbing looks like by crawling underneath the house or cutting up the flooring. Now, before I end the video, I want to point out another thing that is not going to meet code. However, it's something I've seen done before. I do not suggest that you go from the trap this way and then use a reducer or an adapter to go up 2 inches. So this would be the one example here that I would try to avoid using unless you just didn't have a choice. And again, you would have to check with your local building codes to see if something like this could be approved for whatever reason. And of course, something like this would work a little better. You're going to have 1.5 inch drain coming up to a 2-inch adapter, something that will allow you to connect most of these shower fittings that are going to require a 2-inch drain line coming up instead of 1.5 inch drain line. Something like this should work a little bit better than the previous example. And of course, I have no idea how many fittings you would need to make this type of connection. Here we have a 45-degree and a 22.5-degree fitting to make this one here work. And again, I don't think this is going to be approved by your local building department. Along with making the 2-inch transition horizontally or laterally. And the reason why you're going to want to avoid using something like this is because the water isn't going to drain out of the pipe. You're going to end up with a situation like this. And over time, sediment could build up in this area here. And whether or not that would eventually become a problem, I don't know, because I've never worked on a house with something like this, so I won't be able to verify that information. So there it is. Hope you learned something. If you did, hit the thumbs up button. Leave a comment. Let us know that you enjoy these videos. And of course, any questions, feel free to leave those in the comment area, and I will answer them as soon as possible.